The Undertaker's 21-0 WrestleMania streak. For over 2 decades, The Undertaker was the one constant at WrestleMania. Starting in 1991, he won 21 straight matches on WWE's biggest stage, defeating legends like Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and Ric Flair. The streak became bigger than titles. It was the main event, regardless of card placement. It ended at WrestleMania 30, but the myth remains. In today's fast-paced WWE, no superstar is kept dominant that long without setbacks, injuries, or character shifts. Long-term storytelling has evolved, making this type of streak virtually impossible to replicate. With WrestleMania appearances being so coveted and unpredictable now, nobody's likely to even approach 10-0, let alone 21-0. Bruno Sammartino's 2,803-day title reign. Bruno Sammartino held the WWF Championship for 7 years, 8 months, and 1 day between 1963 and 1971. That's not a typo. Over 2,800 days with the top title. In today's world of short attention spans and frequent title changes, no modern champion, no matter how beloved, will ever come close. Roman Reigns' recent 1,000-plus day reign felt like an eternity to fans, but it's not even half of Bruno's. WWE's schedule, fan expectations, and the need for dynamic storytelling make this kind of dominance unthinkable now. Sammartino's reign came in a different era, but its endurance will likely never be matched. Most Royal Rumble eliminations in one match. In the 2020 Royal Rumble, Brock Lesnar entered at number 1 and went on an absolute rampage. He tossed out 13 men consecutively before finally being eliminated. It was a showcase of brute force and sheer dominance. While the record for total eliminations in a single Rumble once belonged to Roman Reigns, 12, and Kane, 11, Lesnar's 13 in a row felt like a different kind of feat. For someone to break this, they'd need to be both a monster in kayfabe and a top priority in booking. And the structure of modern Rumbles, with surprise entries and a more balanced layout, makes this kind of extended run unlikely to be repeated. Longest WrestleMania match. The Iron Man match at WrestleMania 12 between Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels lasted 60 minutes, and that's not counting the sudden death over time. In an era where WrestleMania matches typically fall under the 30-minute mark, a 1-hour contest with no falls is nearly unthinkable. Even modern Iron Man matches usually take place at smaller events or TV specials, not the biggest show of the year. Audiences today have less patience for ultra-long matches without pinfalls or submissions, and WWE's current pacing and match structure make a repeat highly unlikely. Most eliminations in a traditional Survivor Series match. At Survivor Series 2013, Roman Reigns announced himself to the world by eliminating 4 opponents single-handedly in a traditional 5-on-5 elimination match. This wasn't just a win, it was a domination. While others have had strong showings at Survivor Series, nobody has ever been booked to dominate quite like that in their debut year. Modern Survivor Series matches often focus on brand warfare or storytelling, not individual dominance. Unless WWE completely shifts its approach, this kind of showcase, especially for a rising star, isn't likely to be replicated anytime soon. Fastest WrestleMania win. At WrestleMania 32, The Rock returned to face Eric Rowan in an impromptu match. The bell rang, Rock hit a rock bottom, and it was over in 6 seconds. It was a spectacle more than a match, designed purely for crowd reaction. While it might seem like an easy record to break, WWE rarely uses WrestleMania, its grandest stage, for squash matches. The company usually aims for marquee moments and competitive bouts. Any faster win would have to come in an equally bizarre, comedic, or non-traditional context. It's hard to imagine a future WrestleMania moment replicating this blend of shock, star power, and speed. Most world title reigns. For years, Ric Flair's legendary 16 world title reigns stood as the holy grail of wrestling records. Many believed no one would ever match it, let alone break it. But then came John Cena. At WrestleMania 41 in April 2025, Cena made history by defeating Cody Rhodes to become a 17-time world champion, officially passing Ric Flair and cementing his legacy as the most decorated world champion in WWE history. His record isn't just about quantity, it's also about longevity and consistency. Cena won his first WWE Championship back in 2005. Over 2 decades later, he's still competing and still winning at the highest level. The 17 reigns include a mix of WWE Championships and World Heavyweight titles, making Cena the undisputed king when it comes to holding the gold. Now, could someone break this record? Technically, yes, but realistically, not likely. WWE has shifted toward longer title reigns and fewer title changes. Modern stars like Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins may hold a title for a year or more, but they're not stacking up reigns like Cena did in the 2000s and 2010s. Plus, staying relevant, injury-free, and at the top for 20-plus years? That's rare air. Cena's 17-time champion status might just be the last major title count record to ever be broken. Longest undefeated streak. Before losing at WrestleMania 34, Asuka went undefeated for 914 days across NXT and the main roster. That included winning the inaugural Women's Royal Rumble and NXT Women's Championship. This streak wasn't just long, it spanned developmental, call-ups, and a changing women's division. Undefeated streaks are incredibly difficult to maintain, especially for women who often face 50-50 booking. Asuka's run was a perfect storm of talent, protection, and timing. For someone to go nearly 3 years without a loss on TV, pay-per-view, or live events is almost unthinkable now. Most matches in WWE history. Kane has wrestled more matches in WWE than anyone else, with over 1,700 bouts to his name. From 1995 to the late 2000s and 10s, Kane rarely missed time. He was dependable, versatile, and always available, whether on the main event scene or putting others over. Today's wrestlers have lighter schedules, more rest periods, and a greater focus on longevity. With part-time contracts, injury awareness, and shorter careers, it's hard to imagine anyone racking up this many appearances again. Kane's record is a product of endurance, era, and commitment, and it's probably staying untouched. Youngest WWE champion ever. At just 24 years old, Randy Orton became the youngest ever World Heavyweight Champion in WWE history when he defeated Chris Benoit at SummerSlam 2004. That moment launched him into the main event scene and began a Hall of Fame career. While others have won mid-card or tag titles younger, like Tyler Bate or Nicholas the Tag Champ, no one has captured a world championship at a younger age on the main roster. WWE typically reserves top titles for wrestlers with years of experience and proven crowd connection. Orton was a rare exception, a third-generation talent handpicked by Triple H and the Evolution storyline, and already a rising star with incredible potential. Since then, WWE has become even more cautious. Development is longer, call-ups are slower, and world title wins are carefully timed. Even prodigies like Braun Breaker or Dominic Mysterio haven't reached that milestone yet. To beat Orton's record, a wrestler would need to debut young, rise quickly, and win WWE's top prize before 25. Nearly unheard of with today's system. That makes Orton's record not just impressive, but virtually unbreakable. Most wins in Royal Rumble history. Kane has competed in more Royal Rumble matches than anyone and holds the record for most cumulative eliminations. He's tossed out 46 competitors over the years. While Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman have impressive tallies, Kane's sheer longevity and consistency in the Rumble give him the edge. He was a Rumble staple for over 2 decades. For someone to break this, they'd need 15 to 20 years of near-annual Rumble dominance. In today's environment, where veterans phase out earlier and storylines shift quicker, that kind of consistency feels nearly impossible. Most WrestleMania matches. While we already covered his streak, The Undertaker also holds the record for the most matches at WrestleMania, with 27. That's an entire generation of WrestleMania moments. He debuted at WrestleMania 7 in 1991 and made his final appearance at WrestleMania 36 in 2020. That's nearly 30 years of consistent Mania performances, ranging from title matches to cinematic showdowns. Even when injuries limited his availability, he almost always made time for WrestleMania. The streak added to the myth, but the sheer number of appearances shows how important he was to the event. Modern wrestlers have fewer Mania appearances due to part-time contracts, injury risks, or shorter WWE careers. Even someone like Randy Orton, who's been around since 2002, only has 18 matches. Cena has 15. Roman is still under 12. To break this record, a wrestler would need to debut young, wrestle at WrestleMania nearly every year for 30 years, and remain relevant the entire time. That's a near-impossible mix of skill, popularity, health, and longevity. Undertaker's 27 Mania appearances aren't just a record, they're a legacy that no one seems poised to surpass. Longest time in a Royal Rumble match. Gunther entered the 2023 Royal Rumble at number 1 and lasted over 71 minutes before being eliminated last. It was a classic Iron Man performance and reintroduced the Intercontinental Champion as a force. While Rey Mysterio once held the record at 62 minutes in 2006, Gunther's feat took things to another level. Given the physical toll of the Rumble, it's hard to imagine anyone going much longer. Matches now have tighter pacing, more action, and less downtime. The stamina and careful booking needed to break this record make it feel nearly untouchable. Longest single reign with a WWE Championship. Roman Reigns' Universal Championship reign, beginning in August 2020, smashed records in the modern era. Lasting over 1,300 days, his reign as the Tribal Chief was central to WWE's storytelling for nearly 4 years. He beat everyone: Lesnar, Cena, Bryan, Edge, and more. In today's wrestling landscape, where champions are expected to lose or rotate often, this kind of uninterrupted dominance is almost unthinkable. The only longer reign in history belongs to Sammartino, but in the modern, globally broadcast WWE, Roman's run will be the bar for future generations, and one that may never be cleared again. Longest gap between title wins. Bob Backlund won the WWF Championship in 1978 and didn't win it again until 1994, which is a gap of 16 years between reigns. He returned in his mid-40s as a deranged heel and shocked everyone by defeating Bret Hart for the title at Survivor Series. WWE rarely brings older stars back into the title scene, let alone gives them the belt. In today's environment, legends come back for a pop or a short program, not for title runs. Backlund's bizarre, late-career resurgence is the kind of oddity that feels impossible in today's tightly controlled, youth-focused product. Most days as Intercontinental Champion. Pedro Morales' reign as Intercontinental Champion from 1981 to 1983 lasted a staggering 619 days. While the title has been synonymous with workhorse wrestlers and mid-card prestige, no one since has come close to holding it for that long in one continuous reign. WWE typically uses the Intercontinental Championship to build rising stars or reward consistent performers with short to moderate runs, usually a few months at best. What makes Morales' run even more remarkable is that it took place during a transitional era when the title was becoming a major stepping stone. Since then, the Intercontinental Championship has changed hands dozens of times per decade. Even record-setting modern champions like Gunther held it for just over 400 days. Impressive, but still far off from Morales' mark. For someone to break the 619-day record today, WWE would need to commit to nearly 2 years of booking around one champion in a division that's constantly in flux. That kind of stability is rare, and fan interest tends to demand fresh matchups and surprises. The creative patience required, combined with injury risks and shifting storylines, makes Pedro Morales' reign feel safely untouchable. Longest tag team title reign. From August 2015 to December 2016, The New Day, which obviously included the charismatic trio of Kofi Kingston, Big E, and Xavier Woods, held the WWE Tag Team Championships for 483 days. Not only did they set a record, they redefined tag team wrestling in the modern era. With a mix of comedy, athleticism, and charisma, they dominated a constantly evolving tag division and became one of WWE's most marketable acts. Before this reign, Demolition held the record with a 478-day run back in the late 80s. The New Day's reign outlasted them by a few days, but did so in a completely different environment. With pay-per-views nearly every month and regular TV title defenses, modern champions are under more pressure to perform and adapt. WWE rarely allows champions to hold onto the belts for over a year anymore, especially in the tag division where frequent changes keep things fresh. Injuries, drafts, and storyline shifts make long reigns difficult to sustain. The fact that the New Day were a trio rotating members under the Freebird rule also helped prolong their run. Unless WWE drastically changes how it books tag team wrestling or finds another faction with New Day's longevity, chemistry, and crowd appeal, this record seems like it'll stand for a long time. Longest Hell in a Cell match. The Hell in a Cell match between Triple H and Shawn Michaels at Bad Blood 2004 went 47 minutes, an eternity inside one of WWE's most brutal structures. This wasn't a rushed spectacle full of weapons and gimmicks, it was a war of attrition rooted in storytelling and psychology. Today's cell matches are usually much shorter, focused on high spots and emotional blow-offs. Even Undertaker vs. Mankind, while iconic, didn't come close in terms of runtime. Modern WWE limits match lengths to fit pay-per-view pacing and crowd attention spans, making anything over 30 minutes a rare exception. To break this record, you'd need a marquee feud, 2 performers with elite cardio, and the trust of creative to let the story breathe without overstaying its welcome. That's incredibly hard to align in today's landscape. With HIAC no longer being as unpredictable or violent as it once was, Triple H and HBK's 47-minute classic remains a relic of a different time, one which is unlikely to be matched in either length or intensity. Most WWE matches in a single year. In 1989, Macho Man Randy Savage wrestled 259 matches for WWE in one calendar year. That's nearly 5 matches per week, every week. Today, that kind of schedule would be unimaginable. WWE has since reduced its house show schedule, and talent health is taken far more seriously. With Raw, SmackDown, and occasional live events, the most active wrestlers today might wrestle 100 to 120 times in a year, and that's considered a heavy workload. Add in travel days, promo segments, and media appearances, and there's no way anyone could wrestle as frequently as Savage did. Savage's 1989 campaign included house shows, TV tapings, pay-per-views, and even international events. It was a different era, with fewer off days and a relentless grind. Many wrestlers from that time talk about the toll it took on their bodies. WWE today is a global brand, but it operates with much more structure and care for long-term sustainability. Savage's record will likely stay intact, not because no one's capable, but because no one would ever be allowed to do it again. Most pay-per-view main events. John Cena has headlined over 70 WWE pay-per-view events, making him the most featured main eventer in WWE history. This includes WrestleMania, SummerSlam, Royal Rumble, and countless other PPVs during his 15-year run as the face of the company. Cena's longevity, consistency, and drawing power made him WWE's go-to guy from the mid-2000s through the mid-2000s and teens. He was at the center of virtually every major storyline, often holding or chasing the WWE Championship. While others like Roman Reigns and Randy Orton have impressive PPV resumes, Cena's sheer volume is unlikely to be matched. Modern WWE rotates top stars more often, and part-timers dominate the biggest shows. Plus, with fewer PPVs now due to the shift toward premium live events and international specials, today's stars have fewer chances per year to stack up main events. For someone to pass Cena, they'd have to stay at the top for over a decade with near uninterrupted pushes, avoid injuries, and consistently draw ratings. That combination is rare. Cena's record reflects not just talent, but an era of booking that's fading. Most consecutive Royal Rumble appearances. Dolph Ziggler holds the record for the most consecutive appearances in Royal Rumble matches, competing every year from 2009 to 2022, a streak of 14 in a row. While Ziggler didn't always win or last long, his reliability and durability kept him in WWE's plans year after year. This is a unique record because it's not about winning, it's about showing up. Still, it's incredibly difficult to maintain that kind of streak in a company where injuries, creative shifts, and contract disputes are constant threats. Many top stars miss Rumbles due to injury, storyline absence, or part-time status. Others get released or quietly phased out. Ziggler's career may not have been filled with title reigns or marquee main events, but his consistency is unmatched. WWE trusted him to deliver every year, even if it was just a bump for newcomers or be a surprise late entrant. To break this record, someone would need to not only stick around for over a decade, but also be healthy, relevant, and available every January. That's harder than it sounds and makes Ziggler's streak surprisingly untouchable. Longest Divas Championship reign. Before the women's evolution changed the game, the Divas Championship was WWE's top women's title. Nikki Bella held it for 301 days from 2014 to 2015, setting the record for the longest reign in the title's history. She beat out AJ Lee's previous record of 295 days, by design, as WWE was fully behind Nikki's mainstream appeal and connection to the Total Divas audience. Though the Divas title has since been retired, replaced by the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships, Nikki's reign remains a significant milestone. WWE doesn't recognize the Divas title as part of the modern lineage, but the 301-day reign still stands historically. In the current era, women's titles are more competitive and frequently defended, which makes extremely long reigns less likely. While reigns like Becky Lynch's or Bianca Belair's have come close, Nikki's remains unique in that it was booked to make a statement during a divisive period in women's wrestling. Since the title no longer exists, this is technically an unbreakable record. No one can win or beat it because the championship is gone. It stands as a time capsule of WWE's transitional period and one that will remain untouched. Longest time between WWE appearances. Bruno Sammartino was the face of the WWF in the 60s and 70s, but after leaving the company in the late 80s under tense circumstances, he stayed away for over 2 decades. Sammartino did not appear on WWE television or take part in any official WWE events from 1988 until his Hall of Fame induction in 2013, which is a gap of 24 years. Bruno had deep disagreements with the company over its direction, use of performance-enhancing drugs, and overall product. His eventual return was monumental, made possible only after Triple H worked to rebuild trust and honor his legacy. When he returned for the Hall of Fame in Madison Square Garden, it was an emotional, full-circle moment. Most WWE legends either stay involved in some form or never return at all. The idea of someone staying away for 24 years, then returning to be honored, is incredibly rare. Many leave, return, and leave again, but to stay gone for over 2 decades and then get welcomed back on such a high-profile stage? That's not likely to happen again. It's a record born from tension, pride, and respect, unlikely to ever be repeated. Most WWE championships overall. R-Truth is a multi-time U.S. champion, former tag team champion, but most notably, he holds the record for most WWE title reigns overall thanks to his legendary run with the 24/7 championship. Truth won that title over 50 times, often through wild backstage segments, comedy skits, and ridiculous shenanigans. While the 24/7 title itself was largely treated as a joke, Truth made it entertaining. His comedic timing, willingness to poke fun at himself, and unexpected popularity made him the perfect face of the belt. No one else came close to matching his reign count. The 24/7 championship was officially retired in 2022, meaning no one can win it again. That locks in R-Truth's insane title count, making his record virtually unbreakable. Even if WWE introduces a new comedy belt, it's unlikely they'll run the same chaotic 24/7 format, and they'd need someone equally dedicated and beloved to pull it off. Truth turned a forgettable title into a highlight of WWE TV. Now, his reign will live on as both a joke and a legacy, which is an unbeatable combination. Most matches in WWE history. Kane, the Big Red Machine, has wrestled more matches under the WWE banner than anyone else in history, over 1,700 matches. That includes televised bouts, pay-per-views, house shows, and even dark matches across multiple decades. Debuting as Kane in 1997 after previous gimmicks, Glenn Jacobs' unmatched consistency and durability kept him active well into the late 2000s and 10s. Unlike many top stars who take time off for injuries, movies, or part-time contracts, Kane just kept showing up, week in, week out, for over 20 years. Modern wrestlers simply don't work this many matches. With fewer house shows and more focus on protecting talents' bodies, the average wrestler today might have 50 to 100 matches per year. To catch Kane, someone would need a 20 to 25-year career with nearly non-stop bookings and minimal downtime. That's borderline impossible in today's era. Kane's combination of longevity, reliability, and staying injury-free helped him build this mountain of matches, and with how WWE operates today, that mountain isn't being climbed again anytime soon. Most losses in WWE history. You don't need to win to become a legend. Just ask the Brooklyn Brawler, who holds the record for most losses in WWE history, reportedly over 1,000 during his long tenure with the company. Steve Lombardi, the man behind the gimmick, was the quintessential enhancement talent. His job wasn't to win, it was to make others look good, and he did it for decades. From the 80s through the 2000s, Brawler wrestled on TV, at house shows, and backstage segments, usually putting over rising stars or headliners. WWE no longer uses dedicated enhancement talent the way it used to. Squash matches still happen, but they're rare, and usually don't feature long-tenured characters like the Brawler. Most wrestlers today cycle through the mid-card or are repackaged, released, or sent back to developmental. To break this record, a wrestler would have to lose consistently, avoid being released, and accept a permanent role as the fall guy. That humility, combined with WWE's ever-shifting roster policies, makes this record one of the strangest and safest in wrestling history. Most WrestleMania matches without a win. Goldust, one of WWE's most unique and long-lasting characters, holds an unfortunate record. Most WrestleMania matches without a win. Over the course of 7 appearances, he never walked out victorious on the grandest stage. From his debut in the mid-90s to his tag team runs in the 2000s and beyond, Dustin Rhodes, aka Goldust, always seemed to come up short at WrestleMania. Whether it was mid-card singles matches, tag bouts, or battle royals, the win just never came. The reason this record is likely unbreakable isn't just the number, it's the context. Wrestlers who lose multiple times at WrestleMania often get a redemption story, or they're cycled out before reaching this many appearances. But Goldust's longevity and continued relevance kept him around without ever giving him that moment of victory. Unless someone is consistently booked at Mania to lose for over a decade and never gets a final feel-good win, it's unlikely this will happen again. Goldust's career is full of highlights, but this unfortunate stat stands out. Longest time holding the Money in the Bank briefcase. Edge was the original Mr. Money in the Bank, winning the first ever MITB ladder match at WrestleMania 21 in 2005. He held onto the briefcase for a record 280 days before finally cashing in on John Cena at New Year's Revolution 2006. Edge's slow burn approach set the tone for future cash-ins, but none have held the briefcase that long since. Most MITB winners cash in within a few months either to keep the momentum or drive a storyline forward. A few have waited 6 or 7 months, but 280 days? That's a full calendar cycle. In an era where WWE programming moves at a fast pace and fans demand constant payoff, it's rare to see a year-long tease without fans losing interest. WWE also likes to use MITB to shake up the title picture quickly, sometimes within weeks. Edge's patience and character made it work, but it was a unique blend of booking and timing. Unless WWE decides to intentionally stretch the cash-in for an entire year and resists the temptation to rush it, Edge's record is safe, most times entering Royal Rumble at number 1. Entering the Royal Rumble at number 1 is one of the most challenging spots, and Shawn Michaels did it 3 separate times in 1995, 1996, and 2003. What makes this record so wild is that it's not just about luck, it's about faith from the company and a performer's stamina, storytelling ability, and star power. Michaels not only entered at number 1 multiple times, he also won from that spot in 1995, becoming the first person to do so. WWE usually reserves early entry numbers for Iron Man performances or surprise eliminations, and rarely gives the same wrestler the number 1 spot more than once. To tie or beat this record, a wrestler would need to enter the Rumble from the number 1 spot 3 or more times and still remain credible. That's hard to do in an era where fan backlash and changing storylines affect booking more than ever. No modern star has come close to matching it. Shawn Michaels was tailor-made for that kind of Rumble drama, and his 3 number 1 entries remain unmatched to this day. Most Elimination Chamber appearances. Chris Jericho holds the record for most appearances in Elimination Chamber matches with 8 entries. Introduced in 2002, the Chamber quickly became one of WWE's most dangerous and high-profile match types, and Jericho was practically its founding father. He appeared in the very first Chamber match and kept returning throughout the 2000s and early 2010s. His ability to adapt to different opponents, styles, and storylines made him a go-to pick for the structure. Whether chasing the title or elevating others, Jericho was always game. Today, Elimination Chamber matches are rarer, usually 1 or 2 per year, and are limited to either title matches or top contender stakes. Rotating rosters, brand splits, and part-time schedules make it hard for anyone to consistently appear in them year after year. With Jericho now in AEW and modern stars getting at most 1 to 2 Chamber matches a year, it would take someone at least a decade of consistent high-level booking to even tie his record. That's a tall order. Jericho's Chamber legacy is locked in, and yet another example of his unmatched versatility.